Breaking pension scandal. Over 400,000 British pensioners are being financially punished every year, not for breaking the law, not for missing contributions, but simply for where they live. These are British citizens. Pensioners who paid into the system their entire working lives. Many served in the armed forces. Many worked for the NHS. Some were teachers, some were miners, all played their part in building Britain. And yet today, they are being robbed of thousands of pounds annually, not by criminals, but by a silent, government-sanctioned policy that freezes their pensions in place for life. If you move to Australia, South Africa, Canada, or over 100 other countries, your UK state pension gets locked permanently at the amount it was when you left. No annual increases. No triple lock. No adjustment for inflation. This is a scandal few in the UK know about, but for the pensioners living it, it's a daily financial crisis. Today, we expose the truth. What's happening, why it's happening, and who's suffering. Stay with us. This affects every pensioner, every family, and every future retiree. Let's start with the facts. If you live in the UK, your state pension increases every April under the triple lock guarantee, rising by whichever is highest, inflation, average earnings, or 2.5%. But if you move abroad, specifically to a country without a reciprocal agreement with the UK, that triple lock vanishes. Your pension gets frozen at the level it was the day you left. And it stays there. Forever. It doesn't rise with inflation. It doesn't keep up with living costs. It doesn't care that groceries, rent, and medication all get more expensive. This is called the frozen pensions policy, and right now, it's affecting over 400,000 British state pensioners living overseas. Almost half of them live in Australia. Tens of thousands more live in South Africa, Canada, New Zealand, Thailand, and the Philippines. These are not exotic tax havens or holiday hideaways. These are Commonwealth nations, places with historic ties to Britain, and yet, UK pensioners living there are cut off from the increases they rightfully earned. Let's talk about the financial impact because it's devastating. Take this real example. A UK pensioner who moved to Australia in 2014 would have been receiving the full basic state pension of £113, 10p per week. Fast forward 10 years later, they are still receiving just £113, 10p per week. Meanwhile, pensioners who stayed in the UK are now receiving £176, 45p per week under the triple lock. That's a difference of £63, 35p per week, or £3,293 per year. But the real cost is even higher because of inflation. In Australia today, maintaining the same purchasing power from 2014 would require £151, 54p per week. That means our pensioner is short by £38, 44p per week, or nearly £2,000 per year just to maintain the standard of living they had a decade ago. Over 10 years, that's £20,000 lost purely due to where they live. And in South Africa, the loss is even worse. UK pensioners who moved there 10 years ago are now £83 per week behind what they need to keep up with costs. That's £4,300 per year lost simply because their pensions are frozen. This isn't a one-off glitch. It's a systemic failure that's pushing tens of thousands of elderly Brits into poverty abroad. Here's where it gets truly confusing and frustrating. Some countries do get the triple lock increases. Others don't. And there's no logic to the distinction. If you retire to the United States, European Union countries, EEA nations like Norway, Iceland, and Liechtenstein, or Switzerland, you do get annual increases. But if you move to Australia, Canada, New Zealand, South Africa, India, Pakistan, or over 100 other countries, your pension is frozen. All because the UK government has failed to establish or update reciprocal social security agreements with these nations. Even more shocking, many of the frozen countries are part of the Commonwealth, with deep historical, political, and military ties to Britain. We're talking about countries where hundreds of thousands of Britons emigrated to join family, care for grandchildren, or retire after a lifetime of work. But instead of being supported, they are being abandoned. Behind every statistic is a human story. A 92-year-old widow in Sydney who served in the British Army during World War II now living on less than £6,000 per year. A retired miner in Cape Town whose pension buys half as much as it did when he arrived. A couple in Canada, both former NHS workers, now relying on food parcels from their local church because their pensions were frozen 15 years ago. These are real British citizens. People who paid their national insurance contributions faithfully for decades now being denied fair treatment. And the injustice gets worse with time. Every year that the UK pension rises, the gap between frozen and unfrozen pensions grows wider. It's like being stuck in financial quicksand. The longer you live, the poorer you become. This issue hasn't gone unnoticed and many campaigners are fighting back. One of the most vocal groups is End Frozen Pensions, led by Chair John Duguid. He recently said, quote, "This latest analysis highlights not only the severe financial pressure that the frozen pensions policy places on many British pensioners living overseas, but also how that impact deepens over time." He added, "The majority of those affected live in countries with a similar or even higher cost of living than the UK, and mostly in Commonwealth nations with close political and cultural ties to Britain. It is indefensible that pensioners who paid in over a lifetime are forced into poverty purely because of where they live." And he's right. This is not a question of affordability, it's a question of fairness. The government is saving money by freezing pensions abroad, but it's doing so by exploiting elderly people who can't fight back. So what does the government say? A spokesperson recently issued this statement. "We understand people move abroad for many reasons, and we provide clear information on how this can impact their finances in retirement. The policy on the uprating of the UK state pension for recipients living overseas is a long-standing one. In other words, they know. They're aware. But they are not changing it. And that's the problem. This isn't a technical glitch or an unforeseen outcome. It's a deliberate policy that has gone unchallenged for decades. Here's what you need to remember. Over 400,000 UK pensioners abroad have frozen pensions. Many have lost £2,000 to £4,000 per year or more. Nearly half live in Australia, with thousands more in South Africa, Canada, and the Philippines. These people paid in, followed the rules, and are now being left behind. The government admits the policy is intentional but refuses to change it. So the question is, how long will this continue? Will the next Parliament finally end this injustice? Or will more British pensioners quietly slip into poverty abroad, out of sight and out of mind? If you care about fairness, if you believe pensioners deserve dignity, no matter where they live, if you want to stay informed on the truth about your pension rights, subscribe now for weekly updates on UK pensions, welfare reform, and the real stories behind the headlines. Tap the bell icon so you never miss a crucial policy change, a government announcement, or a breaking pension report. We're here to keep you informed. We're here to keep you prepared. And we're